Hello, and today I am going to be showing you how and what would have happened after if World War I had ended by Christmas, as many, especially in Germany, had both expected and had hoped. The blitz to Paris, ending the war, and making sure everyone can, be home by Christmas. Hurry it up. Here we have what the war looked like very, very, very early on into it. Very slight advances, a few countries in it, not even the British in it yet, no invasion of Belgium. And we're going to make the first change before the war even starts, and that's obviously an Austrian invasion into Serbia earlier. They sent their demands to Serbia in real life, took about a month to start the war. By then, countries had already mobilized, most sympathy towards Austria was just gone. It was a terrible idea to wait that long. In this timeline, they start the war earlier, they're slightly better off. I'm also going to change a few other things for Austria, because if Germany can worry less about the Eastern Front, they can focus more on the blitz to Paris. That is that Austria will not try an invasion into Russia. As you can see, Russia's actually pushing them. That's because Austria decides to form a defensive line somewhere in Galicia instead of attempting a push into Russia. They would also hold the Serbian line, maybe a bit of progress in Montenegro, but not a lot. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and start. Germany invades Belgium and Luxembourg, and of course that brings the British into this. Honestly, I'm just going to be ignoring the colonial front. I don't think it's worth going into. The British would obviously win. So I'm just going to quickly color in most of their colonies, not all of them, because I don't want to spend 10 years. But that is a majority of British colonies colored in on their side. And of course in Africa, this would take a decent amount of time, probably a few months, but Germany really should not focus on holding any of this. They're going to lose, and that is a fact. They will not be able to hold on to any colonial possessions even in this world, which is going to go much better for them. Where Germany will do better is in Belgium. Using the early time and maybe a few other slight advantages, they start their push into Luxembourg and into Belgium. We are going to have to shift a few things here because in real life the French would have held them back. The defense of Paris was not realistically breakable for the Germans. But we're going to assume for whatever reason the German blitz works. And they don't just manage to capture parts of northern France, and most importantly, they don't get stuck in trench warfare, and they instead manage the Schlieffen plan to its full effect, capture Paris, and stabilize the line, fully capturing Belgium. And, the fall of Paris, I highly doubt it would lead to a full French collapse or French surrender, but it would definitely be a massive hit to morale for the Entente. And it would overall be a massive win for the Germans if they manage territorial expansions, even half of this, even if they struggle more on the coast or in Alsace, they would still, just the fall of Paris would be a massive hit, especially before British troops managed to arrive. From there, I doubt they'd advance much more. Trench warfare is still a thing, and sadly that means that despite French lines being worried and distracted and just breaking apart with the fall of Paris, it would consolidate somewhere around there. After this, Germany may try a few smaller offensives, but nothing major. This is where the Germans hoped that the French would surrender. Sadly, that will not happen. They're holding out, hoping for American intervention, British troops to arrive. They think they can still win this despite the loss of their capital. Germany, to try and finish it off, decides to then invade Russia to destroy the Russians before they can fully mobilize and push into the German east. And from this position is where they would try and get a negotiated peace because it is already nearing Christmas. Honestly, they probably wouldn't have even pushed close to this in Russia. It's far too much. It would take too long. But the fact is, Germany's captured Paris. This is what they wanted. They want a peace treaty, and that is what I'm going to drop right now. We're going to see some fairly major expansion into Belgium, taking especially the Ardennes, to destroy any French defensive lines in the future. They will also be taking the northern iron mines in France, but I doubt that the British would accept much more than that. I even doubt that a Belgian puppet would be possible, as that would be a major expansion, but if there isn't, then it would just be very little effect. So we're going to assume Germany secures a Belgian puppet with not quite English channel ports, but very, very close, which is a threat to the British. This would be minor, but very, very important expansions into France, which would mostly cripple the nation. One major thing you'll see here is that this isn't a Central Powers victory. This is a German victory. The Austrians will get very little, and Bulgaria and the Ottomans aren't even in the war yet. So this is really just, what if the Germans blitz down France, won quickly, and honestly, the effect this is going to have is just round 2. It didn't even go all the way to the Bolshevik Revolution, which could still happen, but the Bolsheviks, if you didn't know, their phrase was basically give the people food, end the war. I forgot what the third thing is, but one of their main points was ending the war with Germany, which was very unpopular, seeing as the German army was far, far superior and they were already far into eastern Russia. So with the end of the war, it is a very large possibility that the Bolsheviks never take power. The Germans are still going to take significant lands away from the Russians in Lithuania and in Poland. But honestly, this is a very minor loss. The Russian government would not be heavily affected by this, and it's possible the communists would never come into power. There would still, however, be a more constitutional government, not under the Tsar, which would take power, even possibly leading to Finland leaving, but besides that, I doubt much else would happen. The Ottomans are not a threat unless the Germans start around 2 with the Ottomans. That won't be a problem. In Serbia, I'm not sure if Serbia would be destroyed. They probably would be. I think Serbia would be destroyed. Simply because, considering how much land the Germans gave back to France, they would want to secure their southern front in a future war. So I'm going to go ahead and give Austria all of Montenegro and Serbia as a puppet, along with smaller expansions near Kotor. So that's the end of the war. This is what the front lines look like now. Germany probably wouldn't see much colonial expansion. Maybe their colony in Cameroon would be expanded. Maybe they'd lose Togo. I think they would lose Papua, their colony in North Papua, simply because they don't have the strength to project over here. The British, they lost very few troops. They did not really lose anything here. They're not going to lose lands. The French, on the other hand, with their whole army in the mainland, their African front could have started to collapse, and even though I forgot to put in the Congo here, the Congo would also be attacked by Germany and probably annexed. This would set up Central Africa as a very powerful region. But this is probably the most unrealistic part, as the British may not agree to a war, especially since Germany lost in Africa. They had no more colonies here. They had no control over the region, and I'm not sure if this major expansion would be accepted by the British, especially if America mediated the peace. But in a fairly good scenario for Germany, where they get Belgium, Lithuania, Serbia, and Africa, which this is about the best they could have hoped for in such a short war, it does put them in a very good position. They can now more easily hold Africa, and the riches from the Congo will be helping them a lot. Meanwhile, Russia doesn't really have to stay an enemy. Honestly, they just took Poland. Russia might still want that back, but trade would still be there, unlike if Germany had taken Ukraine, where Russia would have cut off all trade, all relations with Germany. France, meanwhile, would be by far the biggest loser here. They lost very important regions in the north, as I said, with iron mines. And, their entire northern front is now open to German offensives. The British lost absolutely no land, but they also didn't really do so much. This was just a quick war, Germany cementing dominance. Looking at the future, and I'm just going to keep these things colored in so you can see how it looks. Russia, no revolution. The French is where it's interesting, because a more popular government, more nationalist one, not so much a coup by chance, but the people there would definitely be angry at how could their government have possibly lost Paris, maybe not a communist coup, but some kind of government change would be coming eventually. Meanwhile, in Britain, not much would change. The naval arms race was already slowing down. It might pick back up again. Germany might try and secure friends in the Netherlands, and especially down in Italy. Now that they've already won, an alliance with Germany seems like a very, very good thing. Enticing Bulgaria with Macedonia or lands in Romania would also definitely get them on their side. But this is about what the world would look like. My guess is, give it 5-10 years, round 2 would start up again. It's a coin toss. Germany's in a better situation, but America might also be in a better position to intervene earlier on. And it really could go to either side in round 2. Besides that, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.